Hey, good evening. Happy Monday, everybody. Thanks for hopping on tonight on the call. I'm glad to have each and every one of you here on the call with me, and I hope it's a wonderful day for you wherever you are. All right. You are all welcome. I'm glad to have you here. And tonight we're going to talk on something very powerful. And I tell me the ownership stack, right? It's in relation to how you want to position yourself for the next wealth era, which is already in plain motion, guys. If you haven't been noticing that, I hope your ears are open, your eyes are open, and you're keeping tabs of what is happening around you, right? Imagine, for example, I don't know if you've ever experienced this, right? You're running to catch a flight and there's a little bit of traffic, you get delayed, and by the time you get to the airport, you check in, you carry your hand luggage, you're speeding through security, and you get to the gate. The flight gate has just been closed. The aircraft door has been closed. You can't catch the flight. The plane is still there. You're begging the air hostess, please, can I catch this flight? And they're like, you know what? The door closed 2 minutes ago. It's happened to me many times, and I'm sure it must have happened to you too, right? Think about it. Have you gotten to the train station when the train already left? Have you ignored something that a few years after you ignored it became something massive? I think we all must have experienced one of those in our lives, right? And that is how it feels in the time we live right now because there is something happening. If you might have missed the first wave of it, this is another wave. And I want you to really pay attention to the things I'm going to be talking about because if you really want to position yourself to be significantly advanced, rich, achieving in the next decade, then you have to understand what is happening now and how to position yourself in these things that are happening right now. So if you are just hopping on and you're just joining me, please feel free to share this, right? Invite your friends to join in, share this on your status, share it anywhere you can so that way your friends can join on, your family can join on and enjoy exactly what you are enjoying. Because this session, as you usually know how I do it, right? We do it like a masterclass. So you must have your pen, you must have your paper so that you can write stuff. That is how most of the things I've learned in my life I learned. When I watch videos like this, I listen to mentors, I have paper and a pen and I take notes. I don't joke because if you don't take notes, then you won't remember. And if you don't remember, then you won't act on it. And if you don't act on it, then you'll be the one crying a few years from now about what was possible and what really never happened. And wherever you're tuning in from, drop your name, drop your city or country, wherever you're tuning in from, so I know where you're from, so I can give you a shout out, guys. All right. But here we go. Tonight is a very, very powerful masterclass we're going to be talking about, right? We're going to be talking about how you need to position yourself in order to build wealth in the next decade. I know for sure a lot of people who watch me, they watch me mostly for that purpose, right? To be able to give them a way by which they can significantly advance their lives and also be able to package themselves in a way that can fit into where the world is heading today. So think about it here, guys. If you're one of those who've ever missed a flight by just a few minutes, or you missed the train by a few minutes, or you ignored something or an investment that you had to do, but you minimized it, and a few years later, like my friend, I read about him, this guy actually used about uh, 100 bitcoins in the early 2000s to buy pizza at Boston University, at MIT, where they were doing a research on Bitcoin. He wished he would have saved his Bitcoin to be a billionaire today. But there are always things like that in life, right? Opportunities come and go, but you need to understand something. We're living in a time today where if you want to position yourself to be successful in the next decade, you must understand what is happening now. What are the levers for wealth? What are the levers that you can use to accelerate yourself and be able to be in a situation where you can leverage the things that are happening? I have missed a flight before, got it getting in late. 2 minutes, the door of the plane was closed and I couldn't get in. I know that. I came to America in the year 2000. A few months later, I lost my mother. I was fired from my job while grieving my daddy who just died. I built an IT business. 3 years, the IT industry dropped. Nobody was hiring as much. I had to close it. The market dried. I filed for bankruptcy. I foreclosed on 2 homes, right? I've shopped from 3 stores to rebuild myself. So I understand exactly what it takes. The only challenge is at those different times in my life, because of all these things happening, I never really took the time to try to project 10 years ahead. because you must understand how life works, right? No matter how much pressure you feel right now, you must always remember that that pressure is going to pass. But what is significant is what you're going to do to be better in the next few years. So here is the deal. You might be late. I understand that, right? But you are not too late. I want to reassure you. You are not too late. But if you ignore what is happening in 2026, if you ignore the whirlwind of world building levers that are coming towards us, then it might be too late for you. That's why it doesn't matter what industry you're in, it doesn't matter what job you do. You need to lift your head up a little bit and look out of the circle of what is producing you income now. Because what is generating income for you now might not be what will generate income for you in the next 5 years, in the next 6 years, in the next 10 years. So it is very important for you to understand that positioning. And tonight, I want to spend some time for us to just go through step by step some of those levers. And while we are going through these levers, if you have any comment, any questions, drop them down in the comment section. I'll respond to them, right? I want you to just understand a little bit the speed of change, how things have been evolving over the last thousands of years in the human existence, right? Now, think about it for a second. Think about the agrarian age, right? The agrarian age that roughly lasted for a couple of thousands of years. It began around the year 8,000, ran all the way till about 10,000 BC, dominated all the way till about 1700s, right? But you need to understand what was the principal leverage in that era. Wealth in that era was mostly tied to land ownership and food production. So the richest people in those times were people who owned land and who were able to control the production of food and the food chain. So if you have a problem with your neighbor who is a guy or a lady who controls the food chain, they could decide to starve you and you are gone, right? But when we say centuries, that's even conservative now, because when you're thinking about the agrarian age, you're thinking about an era that lasted for thousands of years, right? Now, when you come move from there, you come now to the industrial age, right? And I want you to pay attention to how the time frames start changing and accelerating as we go further. When you come now to the industrial age lasted about 150, 200 years. So it began sometime around 1760 to about 1840, right? That's where the first industrial revolution happened, and dominant until about the early 1900s, right? Now think about it. In that era, wealth was tied to factories, right? Machinery, production, right? Production systems. That's when we started seeing things like, the advent of cars, moving from horse riding, from carts to cars, started seeing factories and manufacturing plants where instead of people making things in their local homes behind their house, they are doing it now in a setup where you can have employ multiple people. That's when some of the old age billionaires we heard about started coming about, right? Like the Ford and all these other American and American industrialists. But the interesting thing is that this era reshaped the world in about 2 centuries, because it lasted from about 90, for about 150 to 200 years. So that's how long this era ran for. Now, stay with me here. I'm going somewhere and I want you to really pay attention. Now we move now from the agrarian age, we move now to the we move now to the industrial age, and then now we are moving into the information age. So the agrarian age ran for thousands of years. The technology age ran for about 200 years, right? And now we are moving into the information age, which ran for about 40 to 50 years. And it's still evolving somewhat. Began sometime around the 1970s to 80s, and it accelerated with, the advent of personal computer, Apple, Microsoft, all these great technology companies now. The most of them started about 40, 50 years ago. And that's when the information age started booming, right? Smartphones came in 2007 when Steve Jobs and Apple started introducing that, right? In that age, wealth was mostly tied to data, right? To distribution systems, to digital platforms, right? To handheld physical devices. Remember the company Sony? It used to have like the Walkman. That's when we started seeing things like disc, right? You remember the disc we used to play with from vinyl to disc, and then it went now to DVDs and things like that, right? That's the information age for you. That's when things started getting a little bit more technological, and that age ran for about 40 to 50 years. Now, stay with me, guys. Now, stay with me. Let's land this a little bit so it makes sense. Now we are in the AI age, right? And the AI age is less than 10 years old in mainstream adoption phase, right? Research has started about 15 years old, but in mainstream adoption, it's less than 10 years. So AI research existed, of course, for the last 2 decades, but the mass adoption of the concept of AI, the utilization of AI, and AI becoming a mainstream part of our life has only happened over the last 7 to 10 years. In the last 5 years, it has been massive, right? So since 2015, machine learning started scaling, 2022, generative AI explosion, right? And now 2026, we are talking about agentic AI. Agentic AI now is the capacity for people to recreate agents on computers that can go ahead and work like human beings and do the things that human beings want. So you can basically clone yourself, yeah, to be able to respond to your emails, to look at your email box, your inbox, and determine what emails are important, to reply to those. You can do a lot of things. I actually attended a challenge last week, a 3-day challenge. And this guy basically ran the entire challenge with a clone version of himself. I want you to understand that, guys. It wasn't him. It's like I'm talking to you now. It is all live, but it's really not me. I'm a clone version of myself, right? This guy ran that entire thing for 3 days with a clone, and nobody could tell the difference. So we are living in a time now where, with the AI age, it has compressed and collapsed time, right? It has collapsed time now to the point where wealth now is not tied to the things that it used to be tied to. Wealth now is tied to automation. Wealth now is tied to intelligence leverage. How can you leverage your thinking? Wealth is tied to speed. Wealth is tied to cognitive productivity. What are the creative ideas you have? What are the things you can think about, reflect in your bed in the night, and come out with some idea? Even if it's not a new idea, which most people even shouldn't bother, but just you leverage the existing ideas that are already there, right? And you have to think about it. Even the cycle of time, now it is taken even shorter. Remember, the agrarian age took thousands of years. Now the AI age is only 5 to 10 years in, but we're already seeing massive, massive innovations and changes in the way we live. Now, what that means is it will be a travesty for anybody to hide their heads and only try to do the things they are used to doing, only try to work on the things which is only within their industry. They don't want to do nothing else. They only want to focus on that. It will be a travesty. You know why? Because something like AI and the innovation that it is bringing, it is going to affect all facets of life, void of any industry, right? But here is the deal. Changes now will be happening in months and no longer years. Changes now will be happening in the space of months. Sometimes it's even going to be weeks. So what that does is that it provides a lot of pressure too on the human race. It feels harder nowadays because, not because it is harder, but because the pressure and the perception of so many moving parts confuses our human mind, which is generally designed to think linearly. I want you to understand this, guys. I want you to understand this. So, what that means is certainly that there will be more change coming up. There is less time to adjust. There is constant innovation. And you know what? There has never been a better time for leverage than now. It is even projected. The CEO of OpenAI, I forget his name, Sam Altman. Sam Altman projected that in this decade we might most likely see a one-man, $1 billion business. And I understand that because the more I understand these things about leverage, the more I see that possibility. Because what is leverage fundamentally first? Leverage is the ability to duplicate output without necessarily multiplying input. I don't know if I make sense. I want you to capture that for me, guys. Leverage is the ability to duplicate output without duplicating input. Now, if you look at the previous era, the agrarian era, right? The industrial era and all of those manufacturing era coming up, it was the output was based on the input, right? But in the age we live now, you can put in a single unit of input and it can duplicate itself to 1,000 units of output. That's why we're seeing more and more companies needing less and less people to deliver even more value for the company. So, what does that mean to you listening to me? What are those 4 levers for 2026 that you need to understand? You need to find a way to start aligning yourself with, start working on them, and start making sure that as the days go by, you're maybe getting proficient at one, two, three, or all 4 of them. It is important, guys, because these are the things that are going to define the people who make it to the finish line of their dreams and those who don't. I am telling you this. Now, what are these 4 levers that we're going to be talking about today? We're going to be talking about 4 levers that are necessary for everybody who is planning to be significant, successful, and build some wealth in the next decade to make sure they align with. The first of that lever is what you are enjoying today, right here with me: content. Content is like digital real estate. And one of the things which is even interesting to know is that a lot of people think about content like entertainment. There are multiple different kinds of content, right? But I want you to think about it. The industrial age was the pillars of the industrial age were factories, right? The pillars of the information age was distribution systems, right? The pillar of content now we are talking about is not only distribution, but it's leverage, it's power, duplication. And you know, when you have distribution, you have duplication, you have power, then it leads to wealth. I need you to understand that connection, guys, because it took me a while to do that. I remember I created my YouTube channel in 2014. 2014 is what, 12 years ago? And at that time, I looked at social media more like, I looked at my YouTube channel, my Facebook page, and my Facebook profile, and I looked at them more like just something to entertain. So every once in a while, I'll record a video, put up on my YouTube channel. For about 9 years, I only posted about 10 videos on my YouTube channel because I didn't understand the leverage power of content. I didn't realize that content is no longer something that is restricted only to the rich or the few who can have a channel or who can have a TV station. That content has been democratized. It is available to everybody who breathes and lives, and everybody has the ability to create something of value. Now you ask me, Mr. Achu, but it's hard to do that. How hard is it? How hard is it? The reason why you think it is hard to do that is because in your mind, you are perceiving a finished product and thinking that that finished product is what the market needs. The market doesn't need a finished product. The market needs a genuine you. Guys, I hope this is making sense to somebody. Please, if I'm not making sense, let me know down in the comment section, all right? The market is not looking for finished products. It is looking for people who are willing to put their chest, stand up and say, you know what? I want to just leave something that somebody else can benefit from. Think about it this way. The world has today 8 billion people, right? And of that 8 billion people, YouTube has 3.4 billion active users. Facebook has 3 billion active users. Instagram has another 3 billion active users. So you are telling me here right now that your gift, your knowledge, the skill you have, the information you know, your life, whatever it is, you want to tell me there's nobody around this globe of 8 billion people who can relate to that? I don't believe that's true. The only thing that is holding you back are the conversations you are having in your head, like some of the conversations I used to have in my head when I didn't understand the power of these things. Oh, social media is for kids, that people just want to show, people want to come out there and listen. You have to understand content is like water. You could use it to make poison, or you could use it to mix up an elixir to treat people. Guys, these are opportunities passing by, and you need to understand that the power of who you are, your genuine self, your mind, the capacity for you to speak, the skill you have, the ideas you have has value. There are people out there in the world who are waiting for your voice. Don't go with it. You have to understand one video works once, right? But that same video can work 100 times. 100 videos work monthly. 500 videos build authority. You understand? And authority builds trust, and trust builds income eventually, guys. I need you to understand. I have been, from the day I recognized and understood what is happening, I decided, you know what? I'm going to record my life, my ideas, because I don't want to die with it in me. I want to die empty. I want to leave everything before I go. But most importantly, it's not only that I want to leave it, but how do I leave it? Now I leave it in videos like what I'm doing now. This video is a live stream. This live stream is going to stay on YouTube. Facebook is going to delete it after 30 days, I believe. I could download it from Facebook and repost it again later, right? It's going to stay on Instagram for another couple of months. I can download it, save it, and every couple of times I repost it. I could use that same content and break it down into short form content. I could use it for multiple different things. But here is the power, guys. And here is what I want you to understand me here. The last 3 years, I have been doing this seriously, focused on it, dedicated on it, right? It seems like nothing is happening yet. Of course, I have close to 2,000 subscribers on YouTube. I have another 1,200 or so on Instagram, Facebook, across the board, about 7,000, right? It doesn't seem like much is happening. I'm not counting on Facebook, YouTube to pay me some money from AdSense. No, that's not the point. But you know what? The beauty about content is that it compounds. What it means is that a video I do today, 10 years from today, somebody will still be watching it. But I just did it once. This live stream, I'll just do it once. That's it. And what will happen is, as I keep doing it, I keep getting better. And as I keep getting better, I keep increasing the volume of work I have on my platforms. And over time, it keeps building trust, it keeps building credibility, and it keeps attracting the people who are looking for me to help solve their problems. And when I solve their problems, they're going to solve my own problems. Guys, that's how it works. That is the number one lever. You must understand how it works in the time we live. Do you know that Elon Musk, as an individual brand, has more following than Tesla? The most followed person on earth today is Cristiano Ronaldo, for example. I mean, that guy is followed by I don't know how many billion people. Imagine that he can generate $1 from each of those people, not even talking of their attention. How much is that? Now, that's in terms of money. Now, imagine the impact he has by just showing up and talking to people. How many people get encouraged? How many people get inspired? How many people can turn around and say, hey, you know what? I can be something too. You need to understand how all of these things are working, right? And you need to understand that, yes, you might see some people talking with all clarity, articulating, but it never used to be like that. So don't start having conversations in your mind that gives you blockages. Have conversations in your mind that tells you to just put your camera and record something. Record something. Anything. What do you think? What is your expertise? What do you know? What do you work? The work you've been doing it for 10, 15, 20 years. What are some of the interesting things about that? Not interesting, but some of the things that you could help your younger self learn in that job. So coach your younger self, guys. Let me give you a hack here. Let me give you a hack. These are things I talk to people doing consultations. Coach your younger self. Imagine whatever you're doing, you're a nurse practitioner. Just imagine 10 years ago. We sit back a lot of times and we talk, oh, I wish I knew this 10 years ago. I wish I knew this 20 years ago. Take that thing. Talk about it, right? Talk about those things that you wish you knew 10 years ago. Talk about them now. That's basically some of the things I do. Nothing complex. If you've been following my channel, you know exactly what I talk about. I talk about the ability to uncover your purpose. I talk about the necessity to build wealth, leverage things that can build long-term wealth, and to build a lasting legacy. That's all. That's all I spend my time, my life doing. I sit down in the morning, I wake up at 5:30 in the morning, drop my kids to school, come back to my office, make a cup of coffee, I read, I study for about 2 hours, I listen to some mentors that I listen to, and then I start ideation. I start thinking of different ideas to talk about. I'm now working on my second book, so I'm spending a lot of time writing my ideas down. The reason why I'm doing all of this is that it compounds. Content compounds, guys. It might not seem like a big deal today. Come back in 5 years and see what happens. Come back in 10 years and see what happens. Because the goal is at some point, by God's grace, I know that if I have enough life, I have energy, and I have health, which is within my control, and God's grace, in 10 years, it will be something different. In 10 years, I will be reaching 1, 2, 20 million people with my messages. By the time I die, my messages would have probably reached 1 billion people. That's one of my prayers and my dream and my goals. But it didn't always start like that. That's why I said for a lot of people, the blocking and the limiting belief in your mind is that you are only thinking about presenting a finished product on the market, but you don't realize that the market is not looking for a finished product. The market is looking for a genuine product. I used to work in IT for 13 years. There is no single IT product that is ever released complete, guys. Generally, it's about 60 to 65%. They release it. That's why you always hear about upgrades. Every day you open your computer, Microsoft is upgrading. Apple is upgrading. Why are they upgrading? Because they release the product at 65%. And as they improve, they get feedback from people. They keep improving. That's the same thing with you, right? So you must understand something. Content has different types, right? There is entertainment content, comedy, music, that kind of stuff, right? And then there is entertainment content which attracts a lot of people. If you notice, a lot of entertainment platforms are followed by a lot of people because it attracts. It's just natural human tendency, right? Hollywood sounds very powerful because everybody talks about Hollywood movies. But you need to understand that in America, for example, the sports and entertainment industry only contributes less than 5% of GDP. So even though it's attractive, it is what everybody looks at, but that is not where the beef is. And I'll tell you where the beef is tonight. Just stay with me on this video, right? So the first kind of content, you have entertainment, which attracts. Then you have educational content, like what I do, right? I don't only try to entertain you. I might make a little bit of fun. I might speak in a way that you might laugh. But my goal is to work on your mind and your belief system. I want you, each time you watch a video of mine, to feel different, but to also have practical steps you can use to go change something in your life, guys. That is the whole idea. Because once you see that significant transformation in your life, what naturally would happen is that you want to use that transformation to transform somebody else's. And that's how that compounding effect happens. And then when you move from educational content, then you have enterprise. And enterprise is at the level now where it monetizes. But now when you hear enterprise, your natural instinct, you'll be thinking, oh, enterprise is probably big companies, right? But you are an enterprise. That's the news I have for you. Hello? You are an enterprise, guys. You are an enterprise because what you are, with the things you have, the productivity and output you can generate, you are an enterprise. Think about it for a second. What you're watching me on my Instagram channel, my YouTube channel, my Facebook pages, all of those are digital assets. Have you ever thought about that? Do you know that if something happens to me today, my family will inherit these things? Because this is a wealth accelerator. This is a wealth accelerator. All the videos I've done over the years, that can be used to write about 10 books. Now, I'm telling you that we are living in the most incredible time on earth. You no longer need to sit down and be thinking all night to write a book. No. The book I am working on right now, the editors I'm working with, they are using my videos because I have all my original ideas in these videos. And they are taking the scripts of these videos, compressing it with AI, telling AI to pick the topics from these scripts, talk about the things I talk about, and start packaging it into a book. Guys, I am telling you that if you don't understand these things now, in 10 years, you will be left behind, because these are the wealth builders. These are the leverage points that wealth is going to be built on. I hope you're following me here. So you don't need to be perfect. You just need to be consistent. I made a decision this year that the next step of what I want to do is I will be doing a live stream every day, Monday to Friday. And on the weekends, it's optional. If I feel like, fine. If I have time, fine. If not, but Monday to Fridays, I will be doing a live stream for the next 12 months. That's my commitment to myself. And it means what? It means there will be some days I don't feel like it, I have to do it. Some days I might not have this kind of energy, I have to do it. Some days my ideas might not even be organized. Some days I might not be articulate. Some days I might not even talk about something that makes sense. But I will do it because I have to keep doing it. So don't think you need to be perfect. Just be consistent. Start with your phone. Don't worry about equipment. Don't be thinking that you need a camera. You don't need any of that stuff. You don't. Start with your phone, and then you improve over time. Talk about the things you know. Talk about the things you do. Talk about the things that you have interest in your life. That's how you start. And then as you keep going, ideas will be coming. Ideas will be coming. And you know what? Even in that, you also have the means to keep ideating, because you have AI technologies that can help you with ideation. Sometimes when I have a brain fog, I don't have any ideas of what to talk about. I just go to ChatGPT or to Claude. I say, Claude, you know exactly the scope of who I am, because I've fed it information about me, the things I write, some videos, my background, my story, everything. And I say, based on my story, based on my niche, based on the kind of people who listen to me, can you give me an idea of what to talk about today? I have no idea. And it comes out with some ideas for me, and I decide which one I want to use. I decide which of the ideas I want to use, guys. And you need to understand how these things work. These are some of the levers that you need. Before we get to the second level, I want to give a shout out. My man, Jude Tam. Thank you for hopping on, Mubali. Thank you, certainly. Hey, Nabil, my man. Nabil, guys. I have a lot of stories with this brother of mine, Nabil. It's my lovely brother from Pakistan. We come a long way, and we still have a long way to go. But if you should check him out on YouTube. He has an interesting channel on cricket. He's a powerful, very, very nice gentleman. He taught me a lot of things. I think him and myself, we need to do a podcast. Nabil, shout out to you, man. So, guys, share this video with somebody, right? Share it maybe on your platforms. Let's see. Let's get a few more people come on in to join us. So, let's talk about the second level. We've talked about content. Let's talk about the second level, AI. AI is leverage multiplied, right? AI does not replace smart people. AI replaces slow people. AI does not replace smart people, guys. AI replaces slow people. And let me tell you a story. In all fairness, I had heard about ChatGPT, but I didn't understand what it really does. Until 3 years ago, I can never forget that evening. We were working on no, at that point, even I think we had already finished with that project I was working on with Nabil. And I had a brain fog that day, and I just couldn't figure out some things. And I called my man. He tells me he's at the field, he's leaving, and he'll call me. He calls me back and says, I need you to jump with me on Zoom, guy. I have a problem. And we got on Zoom, and that's the first time I really got introduced to ChatGPT. Nabil is the one who introduced me to ChatGPT. My friend Nabil, who is on the line, Nabil Khan. He's the one who introduced me to ChatGPT. I'd heard about it, but I didn't understand the power of this stuff, guys. I didn't understand that this is something that you can use to create magic, right? And so you must understand AI is not going to replace smart people. It's just going to replace slow people. If you are slow to the game, if you keep procrastinating, you keep asking yourself that you need to be perfect before you step up. You keep trying to make sure you know it all. You keep trying to do the usual thing which most people fail at, which is overanalyzing. Because when you overanalyze, you fall down flat. That is what is going to happen to you. Now think about this. How does AI really multiply you? How does AI take you as a single person and duplicate you over and over? First of all, AI can cut your research time by 90%. I told you, I just gave you an example how I use it. That's just one way, right? It can cut your research time by 90%. Let me give you another example. If you are thinking from the financial perspective, let's say you're thinking of taking a loan to do something. You can't just go to Claude or to ChatGPT, explain the scenario of that, and tell it to act like a financial advisor and give you some ideas on how to think about that process. Guys, you can structure your content. Do you have ideas in your mind? Do you feel like the ideas are all over the place? Just go there, click on the small microphone and talk to it and tell it to organize those thoughts for you. It enhances productivity. In fact, you don't need as much time to deliver as much value anymore because of the power of AI. And listen here, I'm talking now about how you can leverage it for your own personal productivity. I am not even talking about investing in AI companies, which is another area of wealth building, right? I have some videos I've done about that. I'll be doing one again this week on the different areas of AI you should be investing your money in on the stock market. That's another area. We are not even talking about AI for healthcare. We are not even talking about AI for manufacturing. We are not even talking about AI for travel. We are not talking about AI for travel. I have my friend is out in Mexico. This guy is probably one of the most gifted travel agents and coaches in Mexico. If you're traveling to Cancun, especially, you need to reach out to Mumbali Travels. Okay, this guy will chart your plan for you. He will make sure everything is available. You have the best time of your life, right? But this is how AI can help. You can just go to AI and AI will give you a roadmap for everything you need. You, of course, you need to verify, but I'm just saying that we are living in a time today where the levers of wealth is not what we used to know. The levers of wealth is not those story buildings we used to know in the industrial age. The levers of wealth is not the physical things we used to think about. The levers of wealth is how your ideas can get translated into output that can impact somebody fast, fast, quick, quick, quick. The world is paying for speed. That's why all platforms today have the ability to live stream. YouTube never used to have live stream. I think when YouTube started it, then I think Facebook, I don't know if it's YouTube or Facebook that started it first, right? Then Instagram picked it up because they realized people no longer have time to be recording things and coming to upload. People just want to do it once, like I'm doing it now. That's it. I no longer have to sit, plan, and record. I just talk to you. It's more natural, it's flowing, and we are interacting, right? So you must understand that AI is very powerful. And you could take it and package it into the workflow for your own business, for your own work, for your own industry, for whatever you do, right? In my case, for example, the kind of work I do, let me tell you how AI helps me. AI helps me to structure scripts sometimes, right? AI helps me to do scenario forecasting. Scenario forecasting could be maybe I want to invest in something and I'm not sure exactly. And I take a best case scenario and the worst case scenario. I say, okay, I want to invest in this business, right? And I'm putting X amount of money. If it's going to return 10%, analyze me the risk, analyze me the upside, analyze me the downside. Tell me if it makes sense to do that. It will do that. You can leverage it to prepare for webinars. If you're somebody who presents a lot at their job, you use PowerPoint to present and things like that, AI can produce the AI applications that can produce a whole PowerPoint for you, right? Content repurposing. I'm doing the live stream right now. This stream is going to be maybe 45 minutes, 1 hour. I don't know. Once I finish it, I'm done. My team will come into my account, take that live video. They will go do all kinds of things with it. They'll cut it down to 20 minutes videos, 15 minutes videos. They'll take short form videos out of it. They will use it to do advertisements for our different products, all kinds of things, guys. That is the lever I'm talking about. You need to understand where the world is going right now. You cannot sit and say, you know what? I work as a nurse. AI is not important to me, right? The beautiful thing about it is it doesn't even matter your age. It doesn't matter what part of the world you live. You could be living in Europe, China, Africa. In fact, in my opinion, I believe this is the first time in the history of the human race that the field has been flattened to a certain extent. If you are living in parts of the world which are still economically disadvantaged but have access to internet, You know what? You have broken the geographical barrier. Hey, good evening. Good morning for my big brother from Douala, King Namanga. Thank you for hopping on, big bro. I appreciate you. You have broken the geographical barrier completely because it doesn't know where you are located. It just delivers value for you. My entire team is resident in Africa. All the young boys and girls I work with who help me to, produce my videos, post on my social media, all that stuff. They are in Nigeria, Cameroon, Congo. I've worked with young people too out of Pakistan, out of India, out of Lebanon, out of all these different parts of the world. So what that really means is that it's no longer about where you are located. It's about what you can bring to the marketplace. That is the beauty of this time. And you have to realize, even though we are all equal in God's eyes, we are not all the same on the marketplace, because the marketplace doesn't discriminate against you. It discriminates against the value you bring. What do you bring? What are you bringing to the marketplace? How are you leveraging yourself? How are you positioning yourself in a way that you can do something once and it multiplies itself, right? Don't think about the limiting beliefs. I am not technical. You don't need to be technical. You don't. I am too old. No, it's no longer about age. If you go to YouTube today, you'll see a lot of older people with big channels. You know why? Because if you are in your 50s, 60s, you've seen things in this life. You have seen things, and people will benefit from your experience. People will benefit from your ideas. People will benefit from your advice. People will pay for your advice. I follow some channels on YouTube just out of curiosity. I see people who are 80 years old, 90 years old. They don't have nothing complex. They just pick up their phone and record their ideas. Oh, I woke up this morning, my left knee is hurting, my right knee is hurting. These are some of the exercises I do. These are some of the things that I've been doing, so that way I've stayed till 80 years. Guys, we are living in the best time God has ever created. That's why I'm talking and sweating. I'm excited because the possibility is great. Don't fall into the trap of wanting to see the end before you begin. Don't start thinking it's confusing. It is confusing because you are overwhelming your mind. You are trying to think everything. Just start. I'm sure if I ask my brother, Uncle Obi, who is watching, he just started on the piano. He wasn't born the greatest piano player yet. He had the gift, but he started rough, he started bad, but he kept playing. He went to Sacred Heart, he kept playing. University, he kept playing. And today, this guy is entertaining crowds of 5, 6, 1,000 people. He just finished a Valentine's Day party in New Year. He usually hosts a Christian concert where he performs with some other artists. Guys, listen. Imagine now that some of the videos Uncle Obi is performing on with his piano. Now you have platforms which can multiply access to that. You know what that means? Guys, I need us to understand this stuff. They are projecting that by 2040, traditional television might be dead. YouTube is already bigger than NBC, MSNBC, CNN, Fox News, all put together. So when you're watching somebody's channel and that person has 2 million subscribers, how many TV stations do you know that have 2 million subscribers? Very few. But the interesting thing is that for all the different output you are seeing going on, they are needing less and less people to produce that because of the power of leverage. Leverage is the ability to produce incremental output without incremental input. So don't get caught up with identity barrier. Don't get caught up with limiting beliefs. You are telling your own self, I am not technical. I am too old. It is confusing. It is not. You can learn anything at any time in your life. Trust me about that. I've done a lot of things with my life I never even thought I did. If somebody told me 15, 17 years ago that I will work in technology for 12 years, I would never have believed. I wouldn't. Because when I was going to secondary school, I knew technology was reserved only for smart people, science students, students who know mathematics, physics. No. But then I realized when I started taking my technology training as an Oracle database administration that it doesn't matter. What matters is your ability to learn, your teachability. Because these are systems that have been programmed. You just have to follow some instructions. Are you teachable? Are you humble enough to learn something? If you're not humble enough to learn and align yourself with the 4 levers I'm talking to you about, life is going to surprise you in the next decade. We talked about the first lever, content. Now we're talking about AI. Let's talk about the third lever. Crypto. And let me clarify here. I'm not talking about trading cryptocurrencies, okay? I'm not talking about buying cryptocurrency, all kinds of cryptocurrencies, you see, no. First things first, understand a little bit what crypto is all about. What is the thinking behind crypto? You don't have to be an expert. Just go now to ChatGPT or you go now to Claude. Type, Claude, I want you to explain the concept of cryptocurrency to me like I am a third grader. See what it tells you, right? You need to understand something. Email replaced letters. You remember the time we used to write letters? People will write letters from schools like CPC and Sacred Heart to girls in lots and places, right? Pen pal letters. And who writes letters nowadays? Nobody. Remember malls? Amazon replaced a lot of malls. Amazon is the largest marketplace in North America today, in the world in general. A lot of people now no longer go to malls. They just shop from Amazon. You know what? Whether we like it or not, crypto is going to take part of the settlement systems market, how people pay for stuff, how people exchange for value. It's going to take part of that market. So you want to argue with that or you want to align yourself with it. Now, I'm not suggesting by any means that you just take all the investable capital you have and you go and start buying any kind of crazy cryptocurrency. No. If you want to learn more about crypto, subscribe to my channel. I talk about a lot of finance, a lot of investment practical strategies and things like that, right? But I want you to understand that this is another important lever that is going to change the life and the wealth landscape for a lot of people. We all know a lot of stories of some people who missed opportunities with Bitcoin when it was $10. But the people who bought it at $20 still made money. Those who missed it at $5,000 and bought it at $10,000 still made money. Those who missed it at $20,000, bought it at $30,000, still made money. In October, it was $120,000. Today, it has dropped to $68,000. Now it has gone down about 45%. The people who are smart, who understand what is happening, who understand that cryptocurrency, especially proven cryptocurrencies, are leverage. It's leverage that you can use. They are now loading up on some of those assets. I don't know if it makes sense, because if he made it to 120,000, it's going to go back there. And by the way, this is not financial advice. This is just my opinion. Remember, investment involves risk, so you have to do your own research, right? And don't hold me responsible for any losses. You will most likely lose money at some point when you invest, but at the end of the day, you will make money if you stay the course for a longer period, for a long period of time. I'm talking here about a decade. I'm talking here about the decade of acceleration, the decade of leverage between now and 2036. Where do you want to position yourself? Do you just want to count only on your physical body working, or you want to do things that can be leveraged and pumped up, that other things can push it forward without you putting additional effort? So understand this. I'm not talking here about speculating. I'm talking about allocating a reasonable amount of your investable capital towards cryptocurrency. In my portfolio, I invest in 4 different cryptocurrencies. That's it. Nothing more, nothing less. I buy Bitcoin, I buy Ethereum, I buy XRP, and I buy Chainlink, sorry. That's it. There are other ones that are equally good, but do your own research. These are the 4 that I have identified. as the four that I want to stay on them for the next decade, because I want to be associated with that leverage that is going to happen. I want to make sure when that leverage happens, when that tilt moves, I don't want to be left in the station cold. I want to be part of the people who are in that train. But remember, I only dedicate 5% of my portfolio to that. Don't go dedicate your entire portfolio to that. No, dedicate. That's why I say cryptocurrency is not about speculation. It is about allocation. Don't go speculating because you watched a video of some 20-year-old boy said, I bought this crypto monkey eye and the crypto went up 2,000% and I made $1 million. No, don't do that. I hope you are mature enough to not fall into that kind of stupid traps, right? Don't do that. You don't build leverage like that. You will never make money like that. You will never build value investing like that. Start small. Build your understanding around it. Learn a little bit what it's all about, right? Avoid hype. Don't follow the hype stuff. The people who have built wealth consistently over time never followed hype. They never did. They followed a consistent strategy, proven, simple, repeatable over time. That's why on this platform, I teach about long-term view. I teach about the ability to postpone present enjoyment for future gains. I teach about education, not just speculating. I teach about working with a strategy, not working how you feel, because you always have to remember something. Go with the plan and not how you feel. Because one day you will feel good, the next day you will not feel good. If you keep working only on how you feel, you will end up a failure. I know that. So competence is going to protect you, right? Competence is going to protect you, which means what? Yes, even though these things are good things, they are powerful leverage, but we also have to understand that the playing field is not regulated at the level which it needs to. So there's a risk too that you have people too who are fake out there. For example, if you go to YouTube today, some of the biggest influencers in the world, Les Brown, Dr. Miles Monroe, there are people now who can take their voices, right? AI uses their voices, fakes their voices, and people are running channels now on these people's intellect and on their intellectual property. And these platforms are not able to stop those people, and they are benefiting from that. But you know what is really going to protect you is competence, knowledge, and skill. Because when you have the competence, you know the stuff, you have the skill, even when they replicate you, the original will still be valuable, right? Of course, there are fake crypto schemes out there. A lot of people are falling for these fake schemes. That's why I say you need to understand there is no elevator to success. It's only by the stairs. It's only by the staircase. There is no elevator to success, guys. If there was elevator to success, 75% of people who win the lottery will not go bankrupt in the first 2 to 3 years. If there was elevator to success, when the first generation builds the wealth, the second generation starts losing it, and by the third generation, it's all lost. So it is not about the output. It is about your capacity to regenerate that. Competence matters. Don't see Uncle Obi playing the piano and you think he just started, you can go to start playing. No, take your time. Build competence. Build competence, guys. Let me tell you guys something. When you are competent, when you know exactly your stuff, you know exactly what you're doing, you have the power at that point to determine your price. Ignorance is expensive. And we live in a time today where it's a fashionable thing for, even when people don't have the experience, they don't have the knowledge, instead of having the humility to learn, instead of having the humility to go to people who know, people who are experienced and seek mentorship, they will prefer to act as if they know, on the basis that you fake it until you make it. You know what? It no longer works. You fake it until you break it. Trust me on that one. I know what I'm talking about. Because when the rubber hits the road, it's either you are or you are not. So I'm very big on humility, learning, and building expertise. Don't be in a rush because it compounds. It compounds. It takes time to build. It takes time to build. My big brother, King Namanga, this man has been working in international corporations for the last 30 years. You are not going to have that amount of knowledge, that amount of skill over 5 years. It just doesn't work like that. But the fastest way you can get there is if you go to him and say, hey, please, big brother, mentor me. That is a shortcut for you because you are getting the knowledge, you are getting the experience, you are getting the skill poured on you directly from the fountain. And we live in a time when people are not humble. Nobody wants to come to Uncle Obi and say, Uncle Obi, teach me how to play the piano properly. Teach me how to do it the right way. Teach me how to do it the right and serious way. But we'll rather go get AI, try to create some fake sounds and start putting things up and charging people money and then coming in, you cannot deliver. Hallelujah. Guys, if you want to leverage the next 10 years, you must build competence. You cannot fake it until you make it. It's not going to work. It just is not going to work because people see through that stuff nowadays, right? Ignorance is expensive. Ignorance is expensive. If you're ignorant, you're going to feel the pain. So we've talked about 3 levels so far. The first level we talked about content, the power of leveraging content. The second level we talked about AI, right? The third, that's the second level we talked about, yeah, AI. And then we talked about the third level, which is crypto. Now let's talk about the fourth level. And this one is very powerful, and I want you to pay attention. The fourth level here, ownership. Ownership is the anchor. Ownership is the anchor. You see, there's never been the time in human existence that ownership is more important than today. And when I say ownership, I'm not only talking about physical stuff. I'm also talking about owning and taking responsibility. Taking responsibility for your life. Owning your decisions. Choosing not to blame nobody. Choosing to own the skills you know. Choosing to take responsibility to learn. Right? You must understand something. Employees earn, but owners compound. I talk a lot about ownership because that is the pillar. Once you understand the concept of ownership, everything changes. Even when you have your regular job, it is powerful because that is the number one way you are going to generate income to invest. But you know what? While you are doing your job, make sure you are owning. Make sure you are learning some skills. Make sure you are acquiring new knowledge. Make sure you are aligning yourself with this leverage that I'm talking about, with AI, with crypto, right? With content. Make sure, because ownership is the only thing that compounds. When you retire from your job, can you hand it over to your daughter or your son? Can you tell the company that now that I'm retiring after 30 years, please, can you give that my job to my daughter or my son? Of course, you cannot do that. So you cannot fail to understand that these two have to go together. Because ownership is the anchor. That is the pillar. What ownership really means is that you want to own distribution. Right? Now, think about it. Let me give you a clean and very proper scenario of owning distribution. I have a YouTube channel. I have a Facebook page. I have a Facebook profile. I have an Instagram channel, right? Now, this, even though I own those channels, but the platform is owned by somebody. So it's a partnership, right? In addition to that, now I also minimize my risk by building something called a newsletter self. So everybody who connects with me, somehow I will find a way to get you an email. So that way, even though I keep in touch with you through these platforms, I want to also keep in touch with you through emails. So that way, at every point in time, I own the distribution of my ideas. I own the distribution of my knowledge. I own the distribution of my skills. You have to own equity. Equity is ownership. You shop at Walmart, you shop at Google, at Costco. Do you own shares of Costco? You are watching me now, right now on YouTube. Do you own shares of Google, the parent company of YouTube? You're watching me from Facebook. Do you own Meta shares? Meta is the owner of Facebook and Instagram, right? The toothpaste you use, do you own shares of that company? Do you even own shares of the company you work for? A lot of companies that are traded on the stock market, which are called public companies, they usually offer something to their employees called employee share purchase plan. If you don't know that, if you don't know whether your company is public or private, tomorrow, guys, immediately you get into work, go to your HR department, ask them, is this company a public or private company? If it's a public company, ask them whether they offer employee share purchase plan. What it means, a lot of companies will let you as an employee buy company shares at a discount, which automatically is a profit. I remember when I used to work for Accenture. Accenture is one of the top technology and consulting companies in the world. At that time in 2014, 15, and 16, I think, somewhere there. Yeah, I worked in Accenture from 2014 till about 2017. They used to offer shares of Accenture as a company at a 15% discount. So what it means is if a share costs $100, you will buy it at $85. That's automatic $15 profit for you without doing nothing. Guys, that's how you get ownership, because without equity, there's nothing. Ownership is power. You don't own your job. The only things you own are the things you have equity in. The company shares you have, the investments you have in the stock market, the ETFs you have, those are the things you own, because you can change them at any time you like into liquidity when you choose. You need to understand that, guys. Own your digital assets. Your voice, the videos you record, the books you write. See, this is a book I published 1 year ago. This is my book I published 1 year ago. March, it will be 1 year. And by the way, if you don't have a copy of this book, you can check down in the description of this video on YouTube, right? Or on Facebook. And you will see a link. Click on the link, order your copy of the book. I wrote this book a year ago in March, right? This is intellectual property. This is my intellectual property. It's going nowhere. It's going to be around for as many years as possible. You will be able to order the book and get a copy of the book. I don't have to do it again a second time. I've done it just once. That is it. It will just keep selling. There will be a point when I'll be selling 1,000 copies. Today, I might be selling 2 copies a week, 3 copies a week. There will be a point when I'll be selling 1,000 copies. And I wouldn't have changed anything in the book. Guys, you need to understand how this thing is going to work, how this leverage stuff works, right? Your digital asset. What are some of the things you've been writing? Do you know that the posts you've been writing on social media, if these are educational posts, if these are uplifting posts, these are posts to help people, do you know that those posts is intellectual property? Do you know how I wrote this book, this first book of mine? Let me tell you how I wrote this book, guys. Let me tell you how I wrote this book. I joined Facebook. I think I registered my account on Facebook probably 2008. I don't know, maybe 2008, 2009 or something. And if you've been following me on social media for the last decade plus, I've always been consistent on the things I talk about. I always talk about upliftment. I talk about inspiring the human spirit, identifying your purpose, building wealth, and building a lasting legacy. But when I wanted to, I had been writing this book for about 7 years. And then one day I was having a lot of difficulties just sitting down and putting my ideas together, even because people are different. You have to understand. I'm not a meticulous person. I'm a big picture person, right? And there's some people who are good with writing. When I sit down to write, I lose. But if I'm talking like this, naturally, the ideas are flowing. Now, if you put me to sit down to start writing, I'm not going to do it. I'll just get a brain fog. That's how God created me. That's my own way of maximum output. So I realized I was trying to fit a round peg in a square hole. I was trying to do something that is not my strength and my gift, which means I was not going to deliver on this the proper way. You know what I did? I called a childhood friend of mine who is a writer, and I begged him. I said, listen, bro, I am going to copy all the different Facebook posts I have done over the last 10 years, and I'll send them to you. And I want you to look at those Facebook posts and come out with a 12 chapter book. Each chapter has a heading based on the things I've been talking about. My friend took about 2 months. He went through all my writings for the last 10 years and he came up with 12 chapters of my book. And under each chapter, it has some talking points. I took that manuscript, I kept it, moved on with life, continued my ITB job, tried my different businesses. Life was going on. And then about a year ago, 2 years ago, I said, but Gustav, you have that manuscript. Why don't you go ahead and leverage it? So I took that manuscript, I took the actual post that I've made, which I gave him 10 years ago, and the manuscript. And then now, because of the advent of AI, I loaded it into ChatGPT. I said, ChatGPT, this is my original work. These are the ideas I have created over the last 10 years. All I need you to do for me, help me organize this into these 12 chapters. Now, if you think the 12 chapters doesn't cover everything I need to cover based on the volume of material, you can suggest some additional chapters. ChatGPT did that for me. I took it and then I gave it now to an editor and they worked on it, organized it, put it together, all the stuff that they needed to do. And that's how I came up with this book. So this is nothing about some imaginary stuff. This is my life work. This is my life experiences and things that I've learned, including references to other people who've been successful, who've mentored me, right? But I want you to understand that we are living in a time today where leverage is powerful. This is leverage. This is leverage. Normally, I would have sat down for 1 year writing maybe every week or something. It took me a few hours and I was able to put together everything, and then they took it from there and put together the book. I'm writing my second book now, and that's exactly what I'm doing. That's exactly the same strategy I'm following. I just took the write-ups that I've done after the 10 years and I'm adding that now to it. That's what I'm putting together. I'm putting together a blueprint. It will probably be something, I don't know what the title is yet, but it will be something like the immigrant GPS or something. Just a blueprint that an immigrant can come into America and take that book, follow that book, and become extremely successful in 1/4 the time it took some of us to ever even see the light. Because a big part of what we suffered in coming into this country is lack of mentorship. We don't have people who were able to direct us, to lift our head and look at life from the long term and the bigger picture perspective. It was all about survival, 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 right? And when you're surviving, you don't have time to strategize. When you have the survival mindset, it takes a lot to shift from survival into advancement and greatness, right? So those are some of the things we're talking about. What does ownership really mean? Owning your intellectual property. Your intellectual property is your ideas, the things you write, the songs the music you've created. Uncle Obi, the pianist, right? Mumbali, the ideas, the videos you've recorded. That's your intellectual property. Owning your decisions. Don't blame nobody for your life. Take ownership. It might be their fault, but it's your responsibility. I want you to hear me on that one. It might be their fault, but it is your responsibility, guys. When you train yourself like that, you start seeing a lot of things happening differently in your life. You refuse to blame somebody. Even when it is obvious that they deserve blame, you refuse to blame them. You know why? You don't want to give up your power. You don't want to give up the fact that something else has that much control over your life. Because what happens is that as you keep seeding it, automatically you get to a point when you no longer can deliver based on your capacity. You have to understand something, guys. Income will feed you. No doubt about that. Salaries will feed you. But you know what is going to build you freedom? Is ownership. So whatever you're doing with your life, whatever way you're making money right now, whether from a job, from a small business, make sure you are investing in assets. And by the way, if you'll be confused right now, you'll be thinking, but what is going on? How can I do this, right? You must understand. I want you to understand this. Content is about distribution, right? Preservation, distribution. AI is about acceleration. So what AI is doing is that before now we were actually riding a bicycle, and AI now is a Lamborghini, right? Crypto is about digital assets. It's about assets, but the digital class. Ownership is about control. Without ownership, you are renting opportunity, guys. Trust me. Without ownership, you have to own them. Own something. Own things, and own things that you can easily transform into liquidity. Because as you get older in your life, you will realize that more of what you need is liquidity. It's not stuff. There are things that you can easily change into liquid assets, right? So here is a 12-month execution blueprint I want to leave with you, right? Let's just take this year and break it down into 4 quarters, every 3 months. So the first quarter is January to March. The second quarter is April to June. The third quarter is June to September. And the last quarter is September to December, right? So the first quarter, January to March, we're in the first quarter right now. Just learn AI. Start learning AI. And when I say learning AI, you don't necessarily need to pay. Just go to YouTube. Follow a few people. You will start getting an understanding what it's all about, right? Start doing content once a month. Just talk about something. Talk about the job you do. What would you have talked to your younger self when you started working? Talk about that. Just talk about something valuable, right? The second quarter, you want to be able now to start understanding how all these different pieces can come together to continue to build your skill and build your capacity. The third quarter, you want to allocate that to digital assets, which means you want to be intentional about the way you use your social media platforms. You want to be intentional about the things you post on your social media platforms. You want people to start knowing you for something. When they are coming to your platform, what is it they expect that you'll be talking about? I don't know if it makes sense. That is how you start building that compounding impact, right? You start refining your positioning. You start making sure that anytime people come to your platform, they either see something that directs them to something of value in their life, right? The fourth quarter, you start systemizing these things. When I say systemizing, it means you develop now a clean plan. You say, okay, every week I'm going to upload one video, or I'm going to upload 2 posts, or I'm going to upload daily posts, or whatever it is. And when I say these things, I don't want you to think about them like it's complicated stuff. No, it's the same thing you do. An average adult today spends 3 to 4 hours on social media. So you could spend those 3 to 4 hours, take 30 minutes of those 3 to 4 hours to post your ideas. To start posting ideas that are related to specific topics. I don't know if it makes sense, guys. To posting things that are related to specific topics. So that way, when you're posting to things that are related to specific topics, slowly but surely, people start recognizing you for those topics, for those things. I noticed my young brother, for example, Roland Fonda, right? He's been talking a lot about community decay, about moral decadence in our communities. Now you slowly start knowing that this is what this guy is all about. He's an upright guy who is trying to make sure he refines and reinstalls conscience again amongst the people. So anytime you're going to his platform, you know that he talks about stuff like that. And that is how you build a brand. That is how you build a following. That is how you build things that last for a long time. Don't get carried away by shiny objects. I see social media today, a lot of people, intelligent people, I see them struggling because they want a view or two, they want some quick following, they are writing, posting things that it's not even aligned to who they are. This game is a long game. That is why I'm talking about a decade. I'm not talking about a week. I'm not talking about a month. I'm not talking about even a year. When I decided 3 years ago that, and now I understand what I didn't understand 2014 when I created a YouTube channel. Now I understand what the power of content, of media, of positioning, of branding is. I gave myself 10 years. What I'm doing with you right now, I'll be doing this for the next 10 years. I'm not saying that to brag. I'm not saying that to impress nobody. I'm just saying that is what I have told myself. Because I understand that the compounding effect happens After about the third, fourth, fifth year, that's when the compounding starts getting crazy. It's just like your money on the stock market. If you are investing $833 every month at 8% growth, it will take you 13 years to get to $250,000. So in those 13 years, it might seem like nothing is happening. It might seem like it is growing too slow. It's taking so long for your money to grow. But do you know that if you continue investing that same amount of money, $833 every month, the next 13 years, that money will grow from 250,000 to 700 to $1 million. So the first 13 years, you were able to grow it to 250,000. And then the second 13 years, you was able to grow it by $750,000 to 1 million. What happened? It is called compounding, guys. It is called compounding. It's the same thing with your skill. It's the same thing with your knowledge. It's the same thing with your building your brand. It's the same thing with building your digital assets. It's the same thing with building your digital real estate. It takes time, but it takes consistent effort. You might think it is not working. Give it some time. At some point, you will see the script will flip. The reason why a lot of people can't do it is because people don't have staying power. We are a generation of quick gains. We are a generation of shining objects. We are a generation of chasing hot air. We don't understand the power of building things that last for a long time. That's why I am obsessed about legacies. Because when you understand what your legacy is, then you reverse engineer your life and you come back to start building, understanding what you want to live and what you want to bequeath in the future. Don't judge yourself too hard. Don't try to tell yourself, well, no. Start where you are with what you have and keep going. Because compounding is what makes everything come together, guys. I hope this 12-month thing is helping, right? So you must understand where the gap is, right? You start with clarity, you build a structure, you get into execution, and you get to results. Most people stop at clarity. Once you understand, like now you watch me, and the next thing you move on with your life, you don't take any action on anything you heard today. It doesn't help you. This is not entertainment. If you want to be entertained, my channel is not for entertainment. I'm not entertaining nobody. I'm talking in things that I want people to use to transform their own lives, guys. Right? Awareness without structure will naturally fade. Understand me, inspiration is temporary. You might feel inspired today, motivated. It's a good thing. I like to do that. But I also understand inspiration is the spark, the fuel that keeps that engine running day in and day out. Is consistency and discipline, along with an architecture that you follow, a plan. Without that, it's not going to work, right? So I need you to understand, this is not a motivational session. This is a masterclass I put together to help people take notes and start implementing and transforming their life. This is an architecture for how to leverage the season we are in and the 4 levers I talked about: AI, content, digital assets, cryptocurrency, and ownership. You leverage those 4 levers to make sure that by 2036, you are different. You are significantly way beyond anything you could ever imagine in your life. It's not going to happen then. It's going to happen now because you started building now, right? But if for any reason you really want to understand a lot more on some of these details, if you want to understand how to structure your investment framework, right? You want to move from not only becoming somebody who just makes income, but somebody who can leverage that income for ownership to build something significant, right? You want to build a 90-day wealth plan. You want to make sure you have, a live question and answer with me at a different time. Then you have to be part of the webinar I'm putting together on the 26th, which is on Thursday. That webinar is called the Wealth, Clarity, and Legacy Blueprint webinar, right? You have to be part of that because this is going to be a working session. It's not just a webinar, right? It's not hype. It's not theory. It's actually execution. In that webinar, I'll be talking on the different concepts. I'll be giving you materials, forms that you can know where you are right now. I'll be giving you things that you can take and strategies that you can implement immediately and start seeing results. So if you're on YouTube, you look down in the description, you will see certainly a link. If you're on Facebook, you can look on the previous videos I did. You will see a link to register for the seminar. It's going to be one of those things that will completely transform the lives of those who are going to invest in that seminar. Clarity should just be an accessibility, right? Opportunity for deeper implementation is what really carries you through to the next level. Of course, no pressure. This is just about aligning yourself with something that works, because you must understand you are not too late, but you cannot drift. You cannot get distracted. Most of the people who listen to me are in their 30s or 40s and 50s, some in their 60s. So there's not much time to get distracted. There is very little room for error. You don't want to do try and error. You don't want to be investing on the stock market without understanding what you're doing. Now you could take the time to learn. That's a choice you have. But if you want to cut short that process, then you can participate in webinars like what I'm putting together, right? To make sure that 2036, 10 years from today, the story is different for you. So join me in that webinar. And let me just share something a little bit here with you guys, right? Let me just share something a little bit here. Let me see. Wonderful, right? So you can also go to my website. If you're looking on the screen right now, the QR code that you have on the screen right now, you can click on that QR code and it should be able to take you to my website where you can actually secure your seat, right? And so here's the deal, guys. In that webinar, we have 2 ticket options. We have the general admission ticket, right? And we have the VIP ticket. Now for the general admission, we are going to have the live 90-minute webinar, and it starts at 6 p.m. Central Time, which is 7 p.m. Central Time, and it goes to 8:30 p.m. 6 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. Central Time, which is 7 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. Eastern. And that is the general admission, where I'm going to have the live webinar. I will be the one talking and presenting. I'm going to give you a wealth clarity workbook. And this workbook gives you a sense of getting clarity of your situation at that time. Now you're also going to have a 90-day money plan template. And with this 90-day money plan template, it gives you a step-by-step strategy and process, which you can go and start implementing and investing based on that process, and you start seeing results in 90 days. You are also going to have access to the webinar replay for 30 days, because I know that after the webinar, people need to watch it again to gain more knowledge and understanding and get the material, right? You are also going to be added to my private WhatsApp community, which is a community of like-minded people that I coach for free every day, helping them build wealth and move their lives forward, right? And then a bonus is also going to be the ultimate investment playbook. Now, this ultimate investment playbook, guys, I wish I had this thing when I started my life in this country. If somebody had given me something like the ultimate investment playbook, today I certainly would have been in a different place. I know you would have been missing me because I will not be here talking to you. I'm just kidding. I certainly would have been here talking to you, of course. This is what I'm born to do for right. But guys, I'm not joking. This is serious stuff. With this wealth investment playbook alone, this ultimate investment playbook alone, this alone is something I usually sell for $299 to my clients. And I just packaged it in this because my goal with this whole webinar is to create the necessary awareness that people need to understand that there's an urgency of now. It's not later. It's not next week. It is now. There is no much time, guys. Right? So the general admission is $97, all right? But most people, we've already sold about 20-something tickets right now because we want to limit it just to 30 seats. We're only going to have 30 people on the webinar because I really want to make sure everybody gets value for their money. Most of the people have certainly secured the VIP experience. And the reason why is because you have everything in the general admission, but you also have a guaranteed question and answer session with me, which means you are guaranteed to have your question responded to. And that session is also going to be an additional 1 hour after the 1 hour 30 minute session. So after the 1 hour 30 minutes general session, The VIPs are going to be brought into a separate Zoom room, and we're going to have conversations, one-on-one, questions, answers, things like that, right? You're also going to have, and this is only for VIP members, I'm going to be sharing to you a tested, proven system. This is the system I use for my own life, the 50-10-20-20 income structuring calculator. Okay. In addition to that, you're also going to receive something called the Wealth Architect Playbook. Now, the Wealth Architect Playbook is not just an investment handout, it's not just an investment guide. This is the playbook to help you build not only an investment portfolio, but to build what consists of your entire legacy, which is talking about protection, it's talking about building assets, it's talking about growth, it's talking about accumulation, it's talking about multiplication, and all these different things that helps to build that entire legacy for you. So that way, by the time you're living this life and moving on to the next life, you have everything in place for generations to come to never forget your name. That is the whole idea why I spend time doing all of this stuff, right? So, of course, if clarity and speed matters more to you, then you certainly want to get the the VIP package. Once you click on it, you just click on the access, you are going to take you there. But what is even more important, just to tell you how confident I am of this, right? I have a 100. The payment side is certainly secured. There's no question about that. But you have a 7-day money back guarantee. Now, if you pay for this webinar, you attend the webinar, you have 7 days after the webinar. If it didn't make sense to you, it didn't give you value, you feel like you don't like it, it doesn't matter the reason. If you just want your money back, ask for a refund, we'll refund your money if you didn't get value from it. All right. I want us to understand this is serious stuff. This is no joke, right? So, guys, you can be confident. Feel free. The truth of the matter is, a lot of times I know how it works. 95% of people will do nothing, and that is fine. The 5% of people who will do, those are the people who will be smiling 10 years from today. But nobody will realize that they started planting those seeds now. The truth of the matter is, it doesn't make any difference to me. I will just keep doing it. Whether you get it, you don't get it, it's fine. The truth of the matter is, I don't need this kind of help. The people who need this kind of help should step up and take care of themselves, because nobody is coming to save nobody. That's the reality of the matter. We are living in a time today when even the person who created the 401k plan confessed many years ago that the plan is not able to help, is not able to take care of people at retirement. I want everybody to understand me. So if you're counting on your job, understand that that is not going to be enough. If you're counting on Social Security, know that that's not going to be enough. If you're counting on pension wherever you are in the world, that is not going to be enough. You must learn how to invest in assets to be able to structure your income, structure your investments, build protection around it, build a legacy around your life. That is how you build things that last. So, guys, go ahead. You see the link down in the description. Probably if you look at the description of the Facebook video, the link is there. Instagram, YouTube too. So I'm looking forward to seeing you at the webinar. And Uncle Obi, Roland, all the guys who hung out with me tonight. I hope this was valuable to you. I hope it's worth your time. Man, I mean, if this is valuable, follow me, share this content with people you care about, right? Because sharing is caring. These are actually my community service content. My big brother, King Namanga, all the way from Douala, Mumbali from Mexico. Hey, guys, I hope this was of value to you. I hope it makes sense to you. I really hope that you're able to leverage this to continue to work on the things that are meaningful to you, right? We must always remember that life is brief. Studies tell us that the average male in America today lives for 76 years. In other parts of the world, it might even be shorter. So, for example, I'm going to be 49 years young in March. So, by that standard, I barely have another 27 years. But of course, I'm going to make it to 100, Uncle Obi. I'm certainly going to make it to 100. But I'm just saying, right, that where we are today, we can no longer procrastinate. When you see opportunities, you see things that make sense to you, you have to be conscious about the hunger to want to not only acquire knowledge, but acquire skills and deploy them for your own benefit. Guys, before I go, I want to remind you about something. I might have met you physically. For some of you, I might not have. I don't know the circumstances by which you were raised. I don't know the stories people and life try to talk over your life, trying to convince you to believe that you are not smart, you are not strong, you are not intelligent, you are not capable enough. I want to remind you that it's all a lie because you are strong enough, you're courageous enough, you're smart enough. You deserve a piece of what it takes to be significant in this life. I want to remind you that you are enough. You know why? Because whatever it is that is within the realm of what you were born to deliver in this lifetime, nobody can take it away from you. And I want to remind you that as you go out there, be well, be blessed, and by all means, never stop building, never stop being a blessing to somebody. And until the next time, I'll see you on the next live show tomorrow. Have a wonderful rest of your evening for those who is nighttime. And for those who are just getting up, have a wonderful day. Bye for now.